Take Action Now Summit. You will discover groundbreaking strategies for personal and business growth with leading experts and innovators. Today, transform forward. Step into 2024 with confidence. Strengthen your network, build relationships, and develop awareness and skills. Join our 21 world-class speakers and experience inspiration, hope for your future, and an elevation of your ambitions. Inspired Choices Network, our summit hosts, are excited to have you here.
Now, out of curiosity, if there was a way that you could control those voices in your head, is there any reason you wouldn't want to know about it? And if you were able to learn how to do this in 5 minutes or less, is there any reason you wouldn't want to master it? Now, don't just take my word for this. Be sure to stick around because I'm going to share with you 3 key lessons that help me stop the negative voices in my head, as well as a technique that just might change your life. I'm also going to share with you my biggest mistake, something that I truly hope you can avoid at all costs. Can you imagine how it would feel to have the ability to change those internal conversations to your advantage almost instantly? Now, you might be thinking that this doesn't seem directly relevant to you, and that's okay. But I guarantee that you know at least 3 people who need to hear this. And if I could teach you how to help them, how much better could their life be? Just imagine the impact that you could have on their lives by sharing what you learned here today. Now, I will add a quick side note. If you're expecting a magic solution to never have another negative thought ever again, what I have to share might not align with your expectations. What I am going to share with you are actionable, effective strategies for managing and transforming your inner voices. Now, 8 years ago, I desperately needed to hear this. And it wasn't until I saw who I'd become today that I fully understood its importance. My name is Lenora Edwards, but you might know me better as the Voice Lady. The first thing that I'm going to share with you is a chapter in my life that I survived and wish I had known how to navigate sooner. Had I known then what I now know, I could have saved myself from a whole lot of unnecessary pain, stress, and aggravation. This is why it is so important for me to share this with you today. Now, once upon a time, I sat in the dentist chair going through the very lengthy and pricey process of getting my second false tooth placed. As I am sure you can imagine, this is an experience that nobody wants to have, especially for the reason I had it. The reason I was sitting in that dentist chair is part of what made me who I am today. It was the direct result of an eating disorder, a struggle that sadly you might find relatable, whether through personal experience or someone you know. For me, I spent periods of time not eating at all, only to find myself binging on a variety of sweets later, which I would then chew and spit out. I kept this a secret from my family, my friends, my colleagues for years, along with relentless anxiety and an inner dialogue that had become so vicious, I could barely tolerate being inside my own head. That day, the voices in my head were louder than the dentist Joe. One voice was screaming at me, telling me how stupid I was, how pathetic I was, what a failure I was. And the other voice was reminding me of the countless hours and thousands of dollars I had invested into self-help materials trying to help myself. Yet for all that time, all that money, all that effort invested, I was still stuck. And now things were getting worse because now I was losing my teeth. Up until that day, I had adamantly refused to talk to anyone about anything that I was going through because of how horrified and mortified I was with my own behavior. And because of the roaring confusion and frustration and aggravation this was causing me, I could not understand that despite my best efforts, I couldn't break the cycle. Now, you might be wondering, why didn't she just ask for help sooner? And that's a valid question. You see, when I was growing up, the world of academics was always a struggle for me. And when I was 12 years old, I was diagnosed with, at the time, what they called a learning disability. And although I was surrounded by well meaning adults, I couldn't help but notice that none of my friends needed the same support or accommodations. To me, it meant not only was I not smart, I was stupid. For 7 years, tirelessly worked with tutors and teachers of all kinds, striving for academic success. Then, on a cold December day, I stood outside waiting for another tutor. And as the minutes ticked by, my frustrations and my understanding of needing constant support and needing help reached a breaking point. Enough, I said. If others can do it alone, so can I. That was the day I decided to stop asking for help. And while I managed to pull through academically, and I even went on to earn my master's degree, the toll was far more than sleepless nights and endless caffeine pills mixed with 5-hour energy shots. A combination of stress and anxiety and my very fragile self-esteem turned my inner world into a battlefield, eventually leading to an eating disorder that became a war all on its own. As I sat in the dentist chair that day, I realized my biggest mistake. It was thinking that asking for help meant that I wasn't smart enough and that I must be stupid because I couldn't figure it out by myself. In that moment, a pounding headache causing the vicious voices to retreat, thankfully, that's when I heard it. Soft, distinct, gentle voice inside of my head say, maybe there's something you just don't know yet. And that day, I realized that admitting that I needed help from others not only was okay, it was the best thing that I could do to help myself. My first step and my first lesson went hand in hand. I finally decided to reach out to professionals for help. And one practitioner that I had met, thanks to the wonderful world of the World Wide Web, introduced me to a technique completely changed my life. Now, the professional that I was working with had shared with me my second lesson, which was that some of the critical inner voices were actually trying to help me, while other voices were merely echoes of other people's opinions. I also didn't understand that this was my body's way of communicating with me. Did you know this? Our bodies actually do this all the time by sending little signals through feelings and sensations. Have you ever noticed that a thought, or maybe you were in a tough conversation with somebody, this resulted in that sinking feeling maybe that you got in the pit of your stomach? or that maybe that pain reoccurring in your neck sign. These are actual signals from our bodies, quite literally saying, excuse me, there's something here that needs your attention. I had no idea. Now, this technique that I'm going to share with you teaches us to master the connection between the voices in our head and the feelings in our body in a simple and powerful way. Imagine it, if you will, as having the remote control to your inner world, giving you the ability to dial down that negative self talk and to boost and turn up the volume on that positive, supportive self talk in your head. And the best part, this can be done by you anytime, anywhere, and for any reason you choose. Now, this technique that I'm going to share with you was developed by a man named Brent Baum, who, among many wonderful things, is also a licensed addictions counselor. And he spent a majority of his life helping people release emotional and physical pain. The third lesson that I learned was that this technique operates on the groundbreaking idea that memories are malleable. We can actually shape them and change them, ultimately allowing ourselves to feel even better. This technique not only teaches and helps people resolve painful memories, but it teaches us how to control our emotional states at will. You see, as we experience life, we have these great moments like that awesome birthday party or that joy of reuniting with that loved one or finally accomplishing that goal that we set out to accomplish. And these moments usually leave us feeling happy and joyful, and then they become stored in our memory as positive experiences. But then we have those tough moments, those challenging moments, like getting yelled at or betrayed by someone we trusted, or that sudden loss of a loved one. In these moments, they usually leave us feeling sad and hurt, and they can become stored in our memory as less than positive experiences, or what some may refer to as negative. Here's the thing though, our nervous system decides what it finds overwhelming, hurtful, painful, stressful. We don't get conscious control over this. It is unique to each of us. So sometimes experiences that make us feel bad, leaving us with emotions like shame, guilt, embarrassment, humiliation, fear, these can become stuck in our bodies, causing us to react strongly in certain situations. Now, this technique helps us find where different emotions are held within our body, whether positive or less than positive, and then it shows us how to adjust them. This allows us to gently release the emotional burden from those less than positive experiences without reliving the pain or altering the events. And it also allows us to enhance and amplify those positive experiences. Now, in a recent study published in September of 2023 in the Journal of Psychiatric Research and Clinical Practice, researchers found incredible evidence of this technique's effectiveness. Participants reported improved emotional well-being, reduced levels of anxiety, and relief from post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms following sessions with certified practitioners of this technique. Now, the changes I experienced, they happened quickly and continued to develop over time. Those loud, critical voices that used to dominate my thoughts, they started to get quieter, and they were replaced by voices that were uplifting and supportive. Now, this shift went well beyond my thoughts, and it led to a complete and total recovery from my eating disorder. This technique was so transformative for me that in 2021, I became a certified practitioner in this technique. This technique is known as holographic memory resolution. It really is worth understanding because our inner voices play a huge part in how we feel every day. And once we know how to work with them, it can really change our entire outlook on life. Now, back in graduate school, while I was studying for speech language pathology, there was one thing my professors were adamant about, and it was the undeniable power of hands on learning. So instead of just talking about this technique, I thought it would be more fun to show you how you can instantly elevate your mood and your mindset. So, if you're ready to feel good right now, just because you choose to, I invite you to stand up. I will add a quick side note. If you're driving or operating heavy machinery, I request that you stop listening and that you resume when you are in a safe and stationary place. Now, those of you that now that you are standing, I invite you to take a deep breath in and let that breath out with a sigh. And know that your feet will remain firmly beneath you throughout this entire exercise. And when you're ready, simply close your eyes. I invite you to journey back through your memories to a special moment when you received a cherished gift. Now, it doesn't have to be the biggest gift, just the one that meant the most to you from someone very special. Can you see it? That moment when you first saw that gift and you knew it was for you? No matter how long ago it was, notice how strong that feeling still is. Notice it created a feeling somewhere inside of you. Go ahead and place one hand where you feel that feeling in your body. Notice now that there is a color or colors connected to that feeling. First impression. Notice that there's a weight connected to this feeling. Is it heavy or is it light? Notice that there's a temperature connected to this feeling. Is it warm or is it cool? Notice there's a texture connected to this feeling. Is it smooth or bumpy? Take a moment and notice any other details about this memory and feeling. Now imagine that floating out in front of you is a picture representing that feeling. Reach out with your other hand and touch that picture now. Next, with both hands, I invite you to trace the edges of that picture so you know how big it is. And go ahead and expand that picture now so that it feels even better. And notice what happens to the intensity of the feeling. Most likely got stronger. Now, for the sake of our exercise, let's temporarily shrink that image down so small that it would fit in the palm of your hand. And on the count of 3, we're going to toss it behind us, so far behind the horizon. 1, 2, 3. Notice what happened to the intensity of the feeling. Now imagine you have the world's most powerful magnets in your hands, and we're going to raise our hands on up and we're going to pull that amazing feeling back from where it went on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. there it is again, your amazing memory. Now, as you take a moment and look at this, notice, did the color change or stay the same? First impression. While you're looking at this memory that you were able to bring back once again, I'm curious if there was a color or series of colors you could add to this image. What would make it easier? What color or colors might you add? Now let's do something even more incredible. Imagine taking this memory with all its colors and all its feelings and transforming it into a glowing ball of light. This ball holds all the wonderful emotions connected to this memory. And gently place this glowing ball of light within you wherever it feels best. Let those colors, those feelings grow and flow stronger and stronger, deeper and deeper with every beat of your heart and every breath you take, allowing it to melt away any area of tension or tightness or stress that may have been inside you. Rewriting anything that doesn't agree with you, like new software, rewriting over old software. And when it's so strong, so deep that nothing in the universe can shut it off, I want you to give it a quick little test. Try to shut it off and go back to the way you were and notice when it will not budge. Stop testing. You have just proven to yourself that you can locate, amplify, reduce, modify, and lock in your thoughts and feelings. You just learned how to control and navigate your inner world. And now, for the best part, simply open your eyes and notice how good you feel. Now imagine how different my journey would have been had I known what you now know. By tuning in to our body signals, we can amplify positive emotions, expanding them and adding color, and we can reduce less than positive emotions by shrinking them and moving them behind us. Understanding now that when you can point to where you feel it in your body, you have the ability to change it. With this knowledge, imagine the possibilities for your life. What would you do if fear was no longer a barrier? How might you help? How unstoppable might you become? Remember this. What you say to yourself matters. You have the right and the opportunity to guide those internal conversations to your encouragement and support. And why? Because you are worth it. Change the voices in your head, change your life. Understanding that these insights that you learned here today can revolutionize your perspective on what matters most to you. Your life unchained from fear, where you're not just equipped to uplift others, also equipped to make a meaningful difference in the lives of others every single day. Imagine the boundless possibilities when you're fueled by empowerment and the belief in your infinite potential. The power of positive self-talk can be transformative. I'm so looking forward to hearing how you apply these insights to your life.
Thank you for joining this inspirational talk on the Take Action Now Summit. Inspired Choices Network and our expert speakers are excited to connect with you and learn about your desires to evolve and grow in 2024.